Hello, my fellow travelers. Thank y'all for tagging along with me on this journey with a vertical farming researcher, aka me. This week's episode, I'm going to be reflecting a little bit about how this year has been going, considering the fact that the first marking period is coming to an end in Frisco ISD, and it's definitely been one of the most eventful marking periods of my lifetime. Probably one of the most historical marking periods too, or at least historical years. So starting out this year, obviously we know a lot of us, a lot of us in this world started virtually or are still virtually. And Frisco ISD, for the students who chose face-to-face learning, we had 3 weeks of online learning first, and then we went to school afterwards. So in the first 3 weeks of online learning, obviously it was also the beginning stages of AP research. So we were still like delving into what is research and like what topics are we considering, like the brainstorming activities to figure out like what topic we want to narrow down and get like from the overview topic and then down to like more specific detailed topic that we can firmly research on. And so for this section wasn't really that hard for me because honestly, I had been inspired by vertical farming a long time ago. I believe it was in like March or something when the quarantine first happened, and schoolwork was obviously really easy because we didn't really have the Zoom calls when we first shut down. We still had schoolwork in Frisco ISD, but it was a little more laid back because we were kind of expecting to go back for a little bit. But anyways, I had a lot more free time than I do now this junior year. And I was just on YouTube and I found vertical farming and I was like, oh, this sounds like an interesting topic. And so then I watched it, and then I watched another video, and I ended up watching like this hour-long series or so about vertical farming, and I got really inspired by it, and I just thought like, this is the future. Like, I need to invest in this type of technology now because this is what's going to be the future. That's at least how I saw it. Obviously there are different takes on it now that I've researched a little bit more into it, but yeah, that was definitely my inspiration. And then I was thinking that could be my AP research project. So I was already thinking about what could be my AP research topic way early. I definitely had a head start on people because I had already collected a couple sources beforehand. Uh, but yeah, I was still like giving heed to like other topics because I was like, well, I don't want to like jump immediately into this like just in the spur of the moment. So I still like gave opportunities for other topics, but nothing hit different like vertical farming. And you know what? It's just like it's been a passion for me, so I just decided to pursue that. So anyways, after the first 3 weeks of school, we ended up going back to school, and it was a very big change for all of us because you know what, like we come back and it's a very strict system. Everyone obviously is wearing masks, which is important, very important. And all the desks are like spread out, and in my AP research class there's only 8 kids in it, because there's a loss of kids because some kids chose to be virtual, and then in general that class is a very small class, so there's only 8 kids in it, so we can social distance very well, but it feels so empty in the classroom sometimes because it's just like I look out and there's one kid in front of me. Obviously I have like someone to the side to me and people behind me, but like when I look up it's just blank, and it's just such an eerie feeling. But that's besides that, I guess going to school wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I thought there would be more corona cases happening, so there were some corona cases, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not as extreme as I thought it would be. I honestly thought that we would have shut down by now because of corona cases, but people have been, I guess, very good despite some criticisms. I mean, we don't live in a perfect society, so obviously some people are gonna wear their mask below their nose or stuff like that, or not properly social distance in the hallways. But overall, I think it's been very good. But I think Corona has impeded a little bit of my studies and my research, not just in this class, but also my other classes, because I feel like there's been a lot of research about like the corona stress, and then it builds on top of our own stress. So yeah, it's been kind of a stressful junior year, but at the same time I feel like I was expecting a lot of workload. So yeah, I mean, it was more overwhelmed. I was just like, oh, I have so much to do, but I wasn't like, like shaking all the time. No, I do shake in class, but that's just like me releasing energy. But yeah, and AP research, now we're really getting into the research. Obviously, like we're now like getting in. If you've seen my previous episodes, we have been doing the annotated bibliographies, and I've definitely got to learn a lot about vertical farming in these like past couple weeks with these annotated bibliographies and reading literature and stuff like that. And pretty soon, I think next week we're starting our literature review if I'm correct. So that's going to be exciting. I've never written one of those, and honestly, I'm really excited that I'm going to be writing. I think the thing that excites me the most is that I'm gonna be writing like an actual like research report, like something that you could probably. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be published to like, Gale academic one file for Gale, but like it's gonna look kind of like that is what I'm guessing, and that is probably the most exciting thing to me because I remember being a very young kid and seeing my brother like read that type of stuff, and I just thought that was like so beyond me, and here I am in high school already doing that some college students are learning to do. But yeah, other than that, annotated bibs. I guess I should reflect a little bit on that, considering that was like it was due at Friday, um, at midnight. I finished a little bit beforehand, and I spent the last day in class just sorry, my eyebrows itchy. Um, I spent most of my class just revising, making sure grammar's all right, making sure I have all the elements that I needed. It looks pretty good. I think it was kind of long. I write a lot. I think that's gonna be an issue. I just spill onto the paper just everything. So I did try to make sure that it was a little more succinct, but sorry, Miss Moncrief, if it's a little longer. I think it's in a good range. I think other classmates may have written longer than me, but I mean, that's fine. But let me see. Yeah, other than that, that was pretty much the bulk of this year for AP Research. Um, but I think me not having. Okay, sorry, I was looking at my screen for a little bit, but I think some things that I discovered in my annotated bib that really did stand out to me were like the counter arguments to vertical farming, because I just presented with just all like the crazy facts and numbers and like, oh, this is gonna be the future, kind of like what you see, but then you find the drawbacks, and I think some of the interesting drawbacks were like the fact that vertical farming is not that energy efficient. They've been working on technology to make it more energy efficient, but the issue is like, you're it the crops are grown in like a tall building that's not has direct access to sunlight, so obviously they have to revert to LEDs and stuff. So they found more cost-effective LED lights. So some articles were saying blue light, other ones were saying violet light. So somewhere in between that range is like a good way to have maximum like crop productivity. So like they have higher yields under that light, and it's also less expensive to maintain LED lights if they're at that color or something like that. Something very similar. I think it was like the blue, but the blue was less expensive, but the purple was more effective. Yeah. And then I was also another drawback to vertical farming is that initially it's very expensive, and the price per unit becomes very expensive because they're trying to overcome the startup costs, because startup costs are obviously very expensive. I mean, you're building a building, and then and then having to implement all these layers with new technology, hydroponic systems and stuff like that. So it does end up totaling a lot of money, but I noticed that right after you like overcome your startup costs, then profits increase, and then they can decrease the price of the food, or like the food per unit. So then it will be more affordable to people in like lower income areas, because obviously the main areas that vertical farming is planning to tackle is one, like the environment, obviously, because current standards of farming is just absolutely terrible for the environment. And then two is food insecurities, because now in urban areas, because of the increased urban population, there's been a lot of areas of land where there's just lack of food to come, and then the transportation to get food from outside the farms areas over to these poor areas is, and these food insecure areas, is just very costly, and has led to malnutrition of, millions of people. So I think that overall, this study of vertical farming, it has a lot of potential. It definitely does have a lot of potential. But I think more research is needed, which is why I'm researching it, right? I'm filling in gaps of research. I'm contributing to the cause in a sense. But yeah, I don't think that vertical farming will be implemented on a mass scale within like the next 5 years. No, we definitely need like at least a decade to really fully see the effects of vertical farming. But hopefully the economy hasn't been destroyed too much from coronavirus that it sets us back, because I know we're already set back so much economically because of this virus. But hopefully once we start back up and corona, hopefully we get the vaccine for, once we get all started back up, we can start improving as a society and focusing on tackling certain societal and environmental issues. And hopefully vertical farming is a big factor that contributes to solving those goals. So anyways, I went a little overboard today because I had a lot on my mind, but I just want y'all to know that the more effort that you put in, the more willing you will be to succeed. Thank y'all.